They came on the day of peace. The Tyrax Dominion, a sprawl of arrogant conquerors whose banners had blotted out 50 worlds, sent their war cruisers into the orbit of New Caledonia, a thriving human colony near the edge of the Perseus Arm. The skies that once shimmered with auroras and laughter turned red with fusion fire. The Tyrax Admiral, Lord Voktal, broadcast his message across every human frequency. His voice was metallic, smooth, dripping superiority. People of Earth, your time of wandering the stars is over. You will kneel before the Dominion, surrender your colonies, and pay tribute. Resistance will be punished by extinction. We grant you 1 solar day to comply. Then he smirked, a gesture learned from observing humans, and gave the order. The colony's defense grid was still charging when the first beam struck. Cities turned to glass. Evacuation ships clawed for the upper atmosphere only to be torn apart by orbit-to-surface plasma. Children screamed through the comms before silence claimed them. Voktal watched it all in detached fascination. A pity, he muttered. They built such fragile beauty. When the final transmission from the colony faded, he turned to his officers. Let this serve as our declaration. The humans have forgotten their place. The Empire shall remind them. And so began the Dominion's war of submission, a war they believed would end before it began. Mocking the Terran's news spread across the galaxy faster than light. Holonets replayed the footage of New Caledonia's destruction, the Tyrax fleets hovering triumphant, their banners unfurled across the void. In alien councils, laughter echoed. The Lakori called humanity soft-skinned dreamers. The Oralis described them as too sentimental to survive the cold vacuum. Even the neutral traitors whispered that Earth would bow, because Earth always sought diplomacy, negotiation, peace. Voktal himself boasted across Dominion space. We have shown them their limits. Earth will sue for mercy. They value life too much to risk losing it. He didn't know humanity was listening. He didn't know that, in a darkened command chamber beneath Geneva, silence had fallen. The kind of silence that precedes storms. The silence before the iron for 3 days. Earth said nothing. No declaration. No message. No retaliation. The galaxy mistook it for fear. But in those days, the United Earth Directorate convened behind sealed titanium doors. Fleet marshals, colonial commanders, and the Council of Nations gathered under the old blue and white flag, the same one raised on Mars, Titan, and Proxima Centauri. The recording of New Caledonia played once more. The screams, the silence, the laughter of Tyrax officers. No one spoke. Then Admiral Kira Selene, commander of the Sol Defense Network, stood and broke the stillness with words that would later be etched into every memorial from Luna to Andromeda's edge. They demanded our knees. Let us show them what happens when Earth stands. The silence cracked like thunder. Orders flew. Docks came alive. Deep space signal buoys began transmitting a single encrypted code, one not used since the days of the Orion conflicts. Iron Will Protocol. Activated the awakening of the iron from every shadow of the Sol system. Humanity stirred. Orbital yards above Mars glowed as dormant leviathans awoke. Dreadnought-class warships, their hulls marked with the scars of ancient wars. The UNS Vengeance, the Iron Dawn, the Caledonia's Wrath. In the dark underbelly of Luna Base, engineers reignited fusion cores that hadn't burned in centuries. Automated factories hummed to life, printing weaponized drones by the millions. On Earth itself, night skies flickered with the blue fires of launch thrusters as soldiers from every nation prepared. These were not conquerors. These were survivors of 1,000 lost worlds, forged in every war humanity had endured, from the trenches of Verdun to the storms of Proxima. And above them all, in orbit around Saturn, the Terran Combined Fleet assembled. 2,000 ships, 90 carriers, 7 dreadnoughts, each carried the same emblem, a silver gauntlet clenched around a burning star. The Chiu, message that broke the stars. It began with a transmission. The Dominion's frontier stations picked up an incoming signal on all frequencies, a human voice, calm, clear, without emotion. This is Earth. You murdered our people. You demanded our surrender. You will have our answer. Then the signal ended. 14 minutes later, the UNS Vengeance exited slipspace above Tyrax-held world. Quartal, the defense fleet, barely had time to raise shields. Human dreadnought guns fired. Once, a single synchronized salvo that turned a planet's orbital ring into expanding debris. The message had been delivered. Fire. Across the void, the Tyrax Dominion scrambled. Fleets rallied. Governors broadcast frantic calls for aid. But humanity didn't advance like conquerors. They came like judgment. In the Vega expanse, Terran carriers released swarms of stealth bombers, black wings that blotted out stars. On the Dominion's border moons, orbital foundries melted under railgun barrages. Entire legions vanished beneath orbital kinetic strikes, tungsten rods falling at near-light speed, turning fortresses into craters. The Tyrax called for negotiation. Humanity answered with silence. Each system they retook bore the same pattern. The words New Caledonia avenged carved into the wreckage. Sin. The Empire trembles weeks past. The Dominion's proud armadas fell one after another. Their admirals couldn't comprehend it. Humans fought without pause, without plea, without mercy. Their ships operated in perfect unison, human and AI, voice and machine, moving as though guided by a single iron. Will, the Tyrax began to whisper among themselves, they do not fight for conquest. They fight because we awakened. Something. The Tyrax Emperor ordered the mobilization of his ultimate weapon, the Sunbreaker Array, a network of stellar cannons capable of vaporizing entire fleets. When the humans arrived at the system of Eshkal Prime, the Emperor awaited them, his weapon primed, his arrogance still unshaken. The Battle of Eshkal Prime. The Sunbreaker Array roared, streams of solar fire lancing across the void. The first wave of Terran cruisers disintegrated in seconds. But humanity did not falter. From the debris, the UNS Iron Dawn surged forward, its armor glowing molten red, its reactors screaming under overload. The captain's final transmission echoed across every Terran channel. For New Caledonia, for Earth, the dreadnought rammed the Sunbreaker's core. A sun was born that day, brief, blinding, furious. When the light faded, Eshkal Prime was gone. The Dominion's homeworld was Ash Domai. Retribution complete, the Tyrax fleets shattered. Those who fled were hunted down by silent destroyers emerging from slipspace like ghosts. Those who surrendered were given mercy, but never respect. The war lasted 42 days. At its end, the Dominion that had ruled half the galaxy was reduced to fragments, scattered systems under Terran oversight. Their banners burned, their arrogance extinct. And when the surviving Tyrax were brought before the Earth Council, Admiral Solane spoke once more. You demanded our knees. But humanity does not kneel. We stand, and when we stand, empires fall. Her words were broadcast across every channel in the galaxy. The stars, it seemed, held their breath. X. The aftermath piece returned. A fragile piece built on awe and fear. Across alien worlds, stories spread like wildfire. Traders spoke in hushed voices of the Terran fleets that moved like shadows, of human captains whose eyes burned with the reflection of their lost colony. The galaxy learned that Earth was not the gentle world they had imagined, that beneath their art, their diplomacy, their music, there was iron. No one dared to threaten another human colony again. Even the mention of kneeling became taboo in alien courts. And in the quiet depths of space, a lone beacon drifted near the ruins of New Caledonia. It pulsed with a simple message: we remember. The eternal warning years later, when new civilizations rose and old empires fell, they still whispered the same lesson. Never provoke Earth. Because humanity's patience may span centuries, their kindness may embrace all species, but their vengeance, once awakened, is infinite. They do not seek war. They do not hunger for power. But if you harm their own, if you demand their submission, if you mistake their peace for weakness, then you will meet what the Tyrax Dominion met. Not armies, not fleets, iron will, and the stars themselves will tremble.